What's up guys, we're back with another Apex Legends video, and this video has been requested by you guys, and it's how to win more fights. I think all of us, no matter what tier we're on in Apex, we want to know how to win more fights. So today we're going to talk about 3 basic things that if you implement these, you will definitely win more fights. Let's talk about it. What up everybody, and welcome back to the XVLN Hideout. My name is Ghost, and if you guys have never been here before, I'm super excited you guys are here. We are dropping weekly Apex Legends content, so make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like that. We're going to be also working on a couple different FPS games as well, so you guys be looking out for that. And then make sure if this video brings you any type of value, give it a like because it goes a long way for the channel. One thing that I'm super excited about is a lot of my friends are starting to get into playing Apex Legends. So not only is it fun for me because it builds a little bit of the community and I don't have to solo queue all the time. Now, I know there are plenty of people who solo queue no problem because you're just that godly, but I'm not, so I don't like solo queuing all the time. One thing that I do like about solo queuing though is when I do terrible, I could blame it on solo queuing. You know what I'm saying? But really, this is a team game and you win more fights as a team than Rambo. So anyways, moving forward, this is a channel, guys, where we talk about the games we play, the lives we live, and how we can look for ways to help each other be better than we were the day before. Better than yesterday is the motto. One stream at a time, one day at a time. So like I said, if you guys feel like you vibe with that, hang out. Come by the stream on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right now is the stream schedule. It's a little bit different because I'm pretty much doing this like full time right now. So my schedule used to be 3 days a week. I'm pushing for 4 days a week and then pushing for 2 to 3 videos a week. So just stay tuned for more content in Discord and Twitter, along with all the other links below you guys will need will be down in the description below. And that's where I'm gonna be posting my official schedule. But at least 3 or 4 days a week, you'll see me. Under Twitch, under my panels, you'll also see when I'll be live. So come by the stream, hang out, let's play some games, let's get into some season 4. And if you're better than me, carry me. Come on, dude. Without further ado, we're about to get into bouncing, climbing, and strafing. Let's get into the video. Yes, I am super excited to be back at World's Edge with you guys, talking about another video. And in this video, we're gonna talk about how to win more gunfights. The reason why this is so important is because I feel like one of the biggest things for me, at least coming into Apex for the first time, which is what I'm trying to keep in mind, is as a beginner player, when you first come in, what is the most overwhelming thing about gunfights? Well, one of the biggest overwhelming things about gunfights in Apex Legends is learning how fast they happen. You can snap your fingers and the fight is done. People are downed, people are dead. 1 second you're looking at the enemy, 1 second you're looking at death boxes. And death boxes are the things you want to look through from others. You don't want them looking through your death box because that means you lost that gunfight. So let's think about a couple things before we get into these tips. The first being, it's actually pretty easy to stay in the low tiers of competitive play, not using these features, just by outgunning people from time to time or playing as a team, because a lot of people in low tiers like to play solo and they don't play as a team. So you can obviously pick one off and then you pick another one off and then you pick the third one off as a team, and it usually works pretty effectively. But as you begin to climb in this game, you're gonna realize something. There's only small differences that actually separate low tier and high tier players in Apex Legends. What those differences look like is game sense, positioning, and adapting. And adapting being one of the biggest ones. We have to think about it like this. You can have a certain set of ideas that you want to implement in every fight or in every situation, whether you're rotating or whether you're doing something else in the game. But adapting is so big. You have to be willing to give up what you thought you were going to do and do something that's going to be better based on countering somebody else's play. Counterplay is one of the biggest things that separates more skilled players and less skilled players. So it's time to get uncomfortable. If you are currently comfortable with how you're playing the game and don't want to change, then you better get comfortable at where you're placed, because you're not going to continue to get better if you don't continue to grow as a player. So let's get right into it and let's talk about the 3 ways you guys are gonna win more gunfights. The first one being bouncing. And what I mean by bouncing is learning how to crouch or bounce in the middle of your fight. Crouching, especially when hip firing up close, is amazing. And what happens is when someone is a good player or even a decent player, if you are in the same position with your body, it's going to be very easy for them to adjust their sights to your head or your body, depending on where they want to be, because they don't have to adapt to you moving. They just have to adapt to the position of your body, which is very, very easy. And if you come from any type of FPS game, this is kind of a basic thing that people master, even in the early games. So one thing I recommend is going into the firing range and practicing, which I recommend anyway. I have definitely got better since my friends make me go into the firing range 20, 30, even 15 minutes before your matches. Make it better because you get to practice things you wouldn't practice in game. So you get better at more weapons, you get better at different maneuvers, you get better at slide jumping, bee hopping, whatever it is. Practice in the firing range so you're not under pressure, and then as you continue to do it, it'll become muscle memory when you're actually getting into fights. Crouching while shooting makes your hitbox smaller. This is probably the biggest reason why it's so important when you're fighting. You want your hitbox to be as small as possible. You want people to miss your head and not get that 1.5 or 2 times multiplier, which will drop you a lot faster. Now, I will say this though real quick. There can be something detrimental to crouching while you are fighting, and that is going against somebody with a Peacekeeper or a PK. When someone is using a Peacekeeper in the middle of your fights, I actually avoid crouching up and down a lot, because if they tend to hit me when I'm crouched, my hitbox is smaller, but if they hit all of me when I am in my half position, they're actually going to be doing more damage, and it's going to be more detrimental to me, and they're actually going to be more likely to hit me right in the face with it. So just be careful about that. For most part, it's going to do you a lot of good. You're going to win more fights because they're going to miss more shots. That's really what it comes down to. Now, the other thing I'm going to say is the reason why you want to practice crouching when you're fighting is because you still want to have accurate shots when you are crouching and fighting. If you're crouching when you're fighting, but you're still not hitting any shots, most likely you're still not going to win the fight. So you want to practice accuracy in the midst of bouncing. There is a lot of other games that would make you jump instead of crouching, or do both. Don't jump in this game. Jumping is one of the worst things you could do in a fight in this game. You end up becoming really still. You're very easy to track when you jump, and especially if someone's using a Prowler with select fire or an R99, you are pretty much going to be done very, very quickly. So the second one that I'm going to talk about is probably one of the most important tactics in winning more fights in Apex Legends, and it separates Apex Legends as a battle royale in comparison to others like maybe PUBG or even Call of Duty. The reason why, number 2, is always climb. Always climb. Always get high ground. High ground gives you a better vantage point and advantage in every single fight. This is something that has taken me a while to implement in every fight. There is moments where sometimes I'm in a panic if I'm getting like third-partied by multiple teams, that I will literally still forget to take high ground, and I try to hide, or I'm trying to heal quickly and I just like freak out. Those moments will still happen. But almost always, when you take high ground, you will win the fight. This is just known for a lot of different games, so climb everything you can. The other thing about climbing is it switches up your angles so you're not predictable. So if you peek behind a rock, if you peek behind a cargo box, if you peek behind anything left, they're gonna expect you left at least the second or third time. The most common response is when someone peeks you from one area once, they're gonna peek you a second time. They're most likely gonna peek you a third time too, for the people who just don't get it that you're waiting for them. So the other thing they're gonna do is they're gonna peek you right. So if they peek you left a second time, they're gonna probably most likely go right for that third time or for that fourth time, which means it's still predictable. What you can do in Apex Legends is climb almost everything. So if I peek you left and then I jump on top of the box, or even just to see where you're at, jumping over things and peeking to see where someone's at and then switching your position is also very useful. So make sure that you're unpredictable with your left and right. Make sure that you are actually going up and down as well. Also, use the terrain to your advantage. You can scale buildings like 30, 40, 50 different ways. I've seen guys scale buildings in the weirdest ways that I would have never expected, especially buildings that have zips in them. You can hear a zip throughout the whole building, so you know when someone's coming up, when someone's dropping down, when someone's dropping underneath you, all of that stuff. You know where their position is. If you don't have a bloodhound, you're gonna be guessing where they're at, and if someone is scaling the building not using zip, it is pretty quiet, and sometimes you get surprised by that. So keep that in mind. I don't expect you guys to be able to scale buildings coming right into Apex, but just keep it in mind. And avoid tunnel vision. So when it comes to climbing, I think one of the biggest reasons why I didn't start climbing until later from playing Apex Legends was my tunnel vision. I would get tunnel vision on one person and I just wanted to kill that person. I wanted to thirst that person. Avoid this. Try not to get tunnel vision. Try to look at the big picture and think about in your head, how am I going to win this fight? What's going to give me an advantage on this team, and then take that route instead. The third and final one that I think is very important, especially for new players. Now, if you come from an FPS background, most likely you're going to do this because it's just habit. Almost all games we play in the FPS realm involves what I'm going to talk about right now. The third one is strafing. Strafing is very important. If you are not implementing strafing because you're nervous, because you're trying to figure out the game, or because you don't have an FPS background, make sure you learn this. Get in the firing range and learn how to be accurate when you're strafing. And also know that if you strafe to the left, you're gonna have a certain accuracy, and if you strafe to the right, you're gonna have a certain accuracy. So make sure that you guys are strafing. You want in the middle of gunfights to be moving one way, or even spamming AD and going back and forth, or on your controller, your stick back and forth. It's gonna make you harder to hit, and you could be unpredictable. You could go like left, 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 right, left, right, left, right, left, 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 right, 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 right. You know what I'm saying? So you can actually make your strafe more unpredictable than just going left, right, because if somebody else is strafing, if they get in the same strafe as you, they're still gonna be hitting their shots really well. And then even to topple on top of all of this, implement number 1 and number 3, so crouch and strafe at the same time, and it's even crazier. And then also make sure that when you're looting, okay, so this is one of the biggest things that I see when people first jump into Apex is they loot death boxes sitting completely still. Do not do this. Get into a habit of when you get into a death box, make sure you are strafing that death box or you are crouching that death box so that you're never sitting completely still, unless of course you're completely in cover, which sometimes you're in cover and someone is still in there and you don't even know. So just make it a habit of not standing still. So let's end the video, guys, with a couple beginner tips, and these are very simple. Always heal up after your fight. Don't try to go fight after fight after fight without armor swapping and without healing yourself up with your shields and your health. Make sure that you always reload your weapons. I'm telling you right now, there is nothing more frustrating than being completely at full health and getting ready to go into a brand new fight and realizing you never reloaded your second weapon, or you never reloaded either weapon. Right away, reload your weapons. And the last thing is, don't be shy in fights. Feel free to melee. Punch someone in the face for that 30 extra damage. Sometimes when they're at like 1 health and you know that they're about to go down, but you can't reload in time, just throw a quick punch, and sometimes those melees literally mean the difference in you winning or losing your fight. Remember, you will always win more fights together than by yourself. Before I head out, guys, I want to make sure I let you guys know about the Discord, where we have an amazing community of people, and we're only growing the Apex community. There's a lot of people playing a lot of different games in there, but the Apex community is growing on console and PC, so I really hope that you guys stop by the Discord and get some games in with us. It's going to be a good time, I promise. I hope you guys have an amazing day or night, depending on where you're at in the world, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.